how many of you saw this video. It's easy to find. You want to put the filter on like previous week or whatever, like 1 week, because basically in Dallas, Texas, there was a Black woman in active labor, and her mother was with her filming this. This is why we have this. Like, thank goodness, like, everybody needs somebody who is willing to advocate for them, especially in their unborn child if they are pregnant, and they're like for medical issues such as this. It is unreal. This woman is in active labor. The things she is saying, the guttural screams that are coming out of her mouth, it's obvious this woman is very close to giving birth. And a nurse has her back turned to her, the only medical professional in the room with you, mind you. This is in triage. She is saying things like you can see the video for yourself. Like one thing she says, "Hey Bertha, how are you doing?" She says she feels it in her butt, and it's like that's like that pressure, and this is her third baby. So like this woman knows, especially after having two before, that she is close to giving birth, and she did. 12 minutes after this video that went viral was taken, this woman gave birth. And it really highlights the problems with our medical system, period, but especially the systemic racism. And I myself used to like think that there was no such thing, like, don't play the race card, because I myself am so not racist. It took me learning about a few things like this, like how in some cities it's undeniable, like Black people literally get pulled over more, like just for being Black. It's just statistics like that. There is such a thing as systemic racism. And the infant mortality rates, the maternal mortality rates for all of us is abysmal. And like as far as how much we spend the most on healthcare of any country in the world, and we have the worst of any first world country when it comes to infant and maternal mortality risks. And for Black women, that's just period, all women in the US. For Black women, they die 3 times more than white women do. There is no explaining that but racism, okay? There's no and, like, their demographics don't matter. It doesn't matter if they're, college educated, high, low income, in between. It doesn't matter. People will try to blame it on all these other things. They always try to blame it on the woman, right? Anything bad that could happen to a woman is always her fault somehow. And some factors may play into it, okay? I'm not saying that those factors don't play. Nothing explains 3 times more women passing away than they are straight up being ignored. They aren't treated the same. They are treated more unfairly in their times of need. And this video highlights this perfectly. The way this woman is in active labor, and the nurse has her back turned towards her and is asking her questions like when you register. And the racism is what I want to talk about the most. But like this, like as somebody who had major surgery this year, I had a hysterectomy in April. I know what it's like to get asked the same fucking questions every 2 minutes. It's like we have computers. You have me registered in the system. Can you just ask, has anything changed? No, nothing has changed. You know everything about me already. Like, what the fuck do you want? It's like, it is so annoying the way they repeat. Oh my gosh, having children that are getting evaluated. It's like, and I do understand, like, they need to have standardized assessments. I get it, and sometimes you're going to answer the same question a few times. The evaluations really aren't even nearly as bad as like just being asked the same old freaking questions a billion times. This woman was due to give birth at the hospital. She was supposed to be induced that day, and they called her and said, "We don't have any beds. We're going to let you know when we do." They never called her back. Her water ended up breaking. She called and let them know she was on her way. She shouldn't have even had to register at all. So I don't want to like there are names like her mom and her names out there. Her and her son are doing fine. She had a baby boy. He's fine. He did swallow some meconium during labor, and they think it might be from all the stress she was under, and his eyes were open while that meconium, that is the baby's first stool, which isn't uncommon. That's not it's not good though. It's not something you want to happen during labor, but that's like totally not uncommon. But basically this woman had a nurse in a room with her. She was in a wheelchair. You can find this video. It is very disturbing though, but I think it's something everybody should witness. And if you have ever given birth and been in active labor yourself, you literally almost feel her pain. You can't really nobody can really feel that pain. And I like once again, I think I'm part of the problem. I'm a woman that does it. I don't do it just we don't like express like it is the closest you will ever be to death. It is literal bone breaking pain. It's equivalent to having several bones broken at the same time. It really like there is nothing like the pain and pressure of active labor 12 minutes before giving birth. The pressure you feel. I think we just witnessed this woman, what I call like a lot of women that give natural birth, it's called hitting the wall. You get to the point where it is so immense, it is so intense, even if you're like You did all these exercises like I did with the hypno babies, which definitely helps. You have to hit that wall and get over that wall. But like it's just it's an insane thing. It is like so insane that our and when you do it, you really see. And I'm not saying every woman should do it. I don't mean it like that at all. And it pisses me off that this woman, she might not have had enough time to get an epidural period, but like her choice might have been taken away from her too, like because that nurse was just in there with her back turned towards her. This nurse was a white woman. I think that goes without saying, right? Not that black people like, I remember seeing there was an OBGYN in Atlanta who was a black woman herself, and then a lot of black women came out and spoke out against her because they thought she would be different because she's a black woman herself. And I know what that's like going to a female doctor thinking they might be different than the male doctors, and they're not. They're all corrupted by the same medical system. They're and you know what I mean. Some they are put in a between a rock and a hard place sometimes. Like they just simply can't change the guidelines. Like it is out of their hands as far as like true individualized healthcare. But this is something that should never happen. This woman was like squirming in a wheelchair. She should have been being helped into a hospital gown in a room. Like there's just like no reason for this nurse, this hospital. She's due to give birth at already. Asking her, "Have you given birth before? How many kids do you have?" Questions like that. Like, do you have insurance type questions? Like registration questions. It is the healthcare industry. It's just like everything else is going to hell in a handbasket, just like literally everything else. And I feel like nurses, and I think anybody in the healthcare industry would agree with me. They're like I know there's some in between, but it seems like they're either or. They're either like saints, or like literal demons. Like, and I had a really bad experience with my second labor and delivery with one nurse. I know what it's seriously like. Some with the first baby, they were literal saints. They were angels. I think about this one woman on a regular basis that was so sweet and so good to me. So many people kept asking me where my husband was at. The father was not there. Made the choice to move to a different state. He could not be there for the birth. He came soon after, but I was by myself, like soon after my mom left and and like it was just like this was 18 years ago too, but it takes a special kind of person, and that woman made all the difference. And I'll never forget this nurse when she came to give me the consent form for the Hep B vaccine, and she said, "You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it." I did. But like she was trying to tell me something, because typical mom, I had no idea they were going to ask me to give him one of those a day of birth. What? And then my grandma, who was a nurse, was sitting in the corner of the room and she's like, "That's a horrible disease. You really should do it." I had no idea that it's the most often transmitted STD wise. And that, like, if your baby is going to develop antibodies for it, it's only like really, if you're going to use that as a justification, the germs that they may encounter in the hospital, they're not even going to build antibodies for it in the time that you're there, unless they have a long stay and they're like in NICU or something. You know what I mean? So anyways, I'm not giving any medical advice, but I'm just saying I have seen the difference between a nurse, and I think the nurse in my second experience, I think she saw my tattoo on my back. I have a hemp plant on my back. She saw that. Like, don't they test for drugs? You know what I mean? Don't they're gonna easily tested me, my babies, whatever. And like she treated me so differently after that. And like it's just funny to me. This was 16 years ago. Now, hemp CBD is sold like at every pharmacy, at every freaking place, anything is sold even. And like that was the reason why I got that hemp tattoo, because I thought it was absolutely ridiculous that we don't treat a freaking cane sugar plants like cocaine because it looks like it. Oh, hey, acid burn. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm not in the chat. I'm like trying to get through my thoughts. I did write a few notes and they're over here. Basically, this is, I've spoken out about this on my channel before, and I always say the same thing about Dr. LaGrue in California. Dr. LaGrue in California implemented obstetric crash carts. And this is something a lot of midwives have, especially certified midwives. They will have everything that's on this obstetric crash cart that isn't even in every labor and delivery room. What? And like because of that, any good midwife should be able to transfer you to the hospital if need be, because she's got Pitocin, she's got all sorts of stuff that is like, I don't know why it's not readily available and why a doctor in California had to be like, "Oh, hey, when we put obstetric crash carts in every labor and delivery room, outcomes improve dramatically." And this you might ask, like, why? Like, why do we do this? Why do we not care about women and children so much to the point where, like, we've seen it happen. We can improve these outcomes at least somewhat with obstetric crash carts. Like, why wouldn't we do that? It's because people don't care. It's true. People don't care about women as much. There's so much internalized misogyny. Women are looked down as less than. And then you add racism into it. And oh my God, like this just shows how black women get the shit end of the stick in so many regards. And it's like like I said, it's undeniable. They can be, married, they can have a PhD, they can live in a nice part of town. Like people try to like say, oh, they don't get enough prenatal care, or like they're more prone to certain health issues, which is true. No, there's nothing that excuses 3 times white women's death. Like, that's crazy. If there was any kind of medicine that unalived them 3 times what, like the rate, like people would be paying more attention. Like, this is just like proof. And then this grandmother that took the video that I'm talking about, she took the video of her daughter in labor, and she um had this video where she was explaining afterwards how the baby's doing fine, even though there was a bit of a birth complication, which could absolutely be due to the stress that the mom was under. And how many, like, we perform so many C-sections, and thank God for doctors and C-sections. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have C-sections, like, they're absolutely needed. But when you see the statistics, we do too many here, okay? And I don't mean to say that about anybody in particular watching this. Like, if you had an emergency C-section, I would never, I wasn't there. I would never say you shouldn't have had that because we have too many in general. I'm just saying, like, overall, it is undeniable. Like, I think a lot of it is because of like stressors and the situation. It just felt so bad for her. At one point, she did turn around. She was like down, sitting down in the wheelchair, and at one point, she was like turning around because that's your natural instinct as a woman. It is so crazy that we like they put us in these beds to lay down to give birth. Like you naturally want to squat most of the time. I have heard of some women who I birthed my placenta on my back, but that was mostly because I was absolutely exhausted. Nobody listened to me. Nobody listens to women. It is worse for Black women. And one of the videos I watched about it, there was a white woman and like, making a bunch of comments, Susie something, talking about how like it happened to her too. It's not just because you're Black. But it's like, yes, they treat us all badly. That is apparent in the statistics. But it is also very apparent. This is blatant. There's no excusing this. There's no excusing this. Across the board, Black women die 3 times more than white women in the US. And this video just like showcases why. So people have like I don't know if they've doxed. They've said this nurse's name. People have figured out who this nurse was in the room that literally had her back. She was sitting down on a computer with her back turned towards this woman who is screaming and agonizing, getting ready to give birth in 12 minutes pain. And if you know what that's like, you know what that's like. It is disturbing. It's very disturbing. But like I said, I think everybody should witness it. And like that, you don't like just the attitude that like I'm so sick of this, and I've said this before. I have about Black women on my channel. They get shit on the most, and I think it's because they are so great. I think it's because they are so strong. And this grandma, her video where she's talking about her daughter, and like she has another daughter who had a baby a month prior. You get nothing but good vibes from this woman. This was a great woman. If everybody was like this woman, the world would be a 10 billion times better place. And it's just funny to me how many people would probably like look down on like her and her daughter situation just because they're fucking racist. But like, um, it, I bet that she offers more to her community than so many other people that look down on people like them. And I did wonder, nobody else said this, but I wonder, and I'm not looking down on it. I wonder if it had something to do with like the dad not being present because that's how I felt. Like people were nice about it, but they like people asked me so much, and I was 19 years old. Like how many people is everybody married when they give birth at 19 years old? I don't think so. But like people kept asking me where my husband was, and of course that like stung, it wasn't easy. But it that experience was good overall, but I did feel judgment by the doctor that delivered the baby. And I've talked about that before too. But we need to all acknowledge the obvious, or nothing is going to change. If it's just Black women saying, hey, this is happening to us, obviously that's not going to change much because everybody's so fucking racist. And that's just insane. There was a Diary of a CEO episode recently where he had a handful of OBGYNs on his panel. And one of them said during her residency, like 20-ish years ago, the doctor on staff was like, put in WW, but like not in the notes. And she's like, what is that? And he's like, whiny woman. That stands for whiny woman. They think that about all of us. They obviously think that about 3 times more about Black women, and it's just like, it's insane. Like, I don't look at them as angry, masculine. Like, I look at them as like strong. Like they have to be. And a lot of people don't necessarily like want to be, but like when you are part of the race, the men that don't marry you the most, like they marry outside of the race the most. And then it's like once again, it's pointed. The fingers are pointed directly at the women. It's never the father that's absent, even though it's completely his actions that really caused the mess. Like you're gonna say a father's presence is so crucial. I'm sorry, I can't talk. So crucial for a child. Uh, why is it the mother's fault then? She's doing her job, but it's still her fault when the dad isn't around. And like I said, this grandma, she was such a cool person. You could tell she's like such a loving person. We'd all be so blessed to have a matriarch in our family like this person. And good for her for filming it. I'm so glad that she had the wherewithal to film it. And apparently this hospital like has a bad reputation. Everywhere I've ever lived, there was hospitals like that where women knew ideally you don't give birth there. And I'm not placing the blame on the victim at all in this situation. I'm just saying it's a shame that that's where we're at and that where we spend the most amount of healthcare in any country in the world. But like women like don't feel comfortable giving birth at every single hospital that we have. That's a shame. These things need to change and they're not going to change as long as I feel like most people, most men and a good I don't know if it's most women or not. A lot of women have internalized misogyny, or they literally think of women like basically as less than human. And that's like this is where we get like even the male babies born, like because especially newborns are extensions of women, like they really get the shit end of the stick too with the women. Um, so yeah, I think I've said everything I wanted to say about this. I'm sorry I didn't have the time to make an edited video and add the video. I kind of don't even want it on my channel, even though I should, because like I said, I think it's important. I think everybody should see it. It is hard to watch. um, there's, I'm going to start reading the comments now. Alyssa, I don't know if it's real or not, but I read that some think they have more pain tolerance than us. Alyssa, yes, that definitely used to be a thing, and I think it's carried over. Just like the hysteria in women. Like I fully believe that like we are not that far removed from when we were experimenting on Black people. If you don't know about the Tuskegee experiments, there's been a few really fucked up things our government allowed to happen to Black people under the guise of like medical experimentation, and actually gynecology slave women is who were like I feel like they're still doing it. As a woman that they give biopsies with absolutely no pain management. It's fucking brutal. But like then again, there's always the women that's like, I didn't feel anything. And then they think because some women don't have nerves there or something, I guess. They didn't feel anything. Therefore, all of us. But in my experience, whenever I'm in a group of women that have all gotten biopsies, it's like the absolute majority of us feel it and think it's excruciating. Why do they tell us we can go back to work the next day? Like women's healthcare is so fucked up because of the misogyny. It's um she just lives her life thinking she's a victim. Who are you talking about, Nathan? Nuara. I saw a Black riding a bike. RJJ. See, I just couldn't imagine being racist and like really having that in my heart. I thought that our country was better and I was very naive. And until the last few years, especially honestly, the Shiloh Hendricks situation was really like was the last nail in the coffin for me to finally see it. And like people think that Kentucky is so racist. It's not, I don't think there's any more racist people than anywhere else. Like I think people think there's more racist people per capita and perhaps in some areas more so. And I've always been transparent. Yeah, the more rural the area, there are going to be those people. They just don't like anybody that didn't grow up there like they did. They just don't like anything that's not, it's a tribal mentality. We developed it for good reason because you need to be able to discern if somebody is of your tribe or not, right? Like back in the day, like not, you know what I'm trying to say, like back when there was, um, when things were different. And I couldn't imagine thinking that about Black people. The way I look at it, the few Black people that do commit a lot of crime, which is mostly, Black men, they mostly commit it against each other, first of all. And it's like nothing compared to the crime that's perpetuated by white people. That's like literally destroying the planet and like ruining everybody's lives. And that's part of the, how they want us to they want to divide and conquer us. If you want to acknowledge racism in America, that does not mean you live your life as a victim. It's just acknowledging the wrongdoings within a society. Joe, that's very well put. Thank you for saying that, Joe. I completely agree. We have to, nothing's going to change unless people say, hey, this happens. Why? What can we do about it? And that's why I always say Dr. LaGrue implemented obstetric crash carts and improved outcomes in his county in California greatly. Like it's undeniable. Why do we have money for everything else? We can give $40 billion to every other country at the drop of a hat, but we can't put obstetric crash carts in every labor and delivery room. It's pretty simple. And once again, I'm not a medical doctor, not giving medical advice, but it just really got to me when I saw this woman in her video where whether or not you've ever been in active labor, you can tell this woman is in agony. and it represents so much of what is wrong with our healthcare. Number one, the racism against Black women, the acid burn. I've been working on a device that can tell whether people are actually having pain, and I think pretty much God perfected if anybody's going to pain management and faking. Oh, that could be very useful, Alyssa. But there's also scientific proof too, as well. At a young age, the hips are always fully developed, and also the pain tolerance isn't fully developed. Do you mean at a young age, the hips aren't always fully developed? But yeah, I see your point. I felt Nathan said, I felt judgment. Yeah, I bet you felt a lot about a lot, but that doesn't make it reality. Who are you talking to, Nathan? Me and my experiences, see, and this is part of the problem, okay? There's always somebody telling you that it didn't happen. There's always somebody, no, that woman left an I didn't go into detail. She left an IV in my hand. I kept asking if she could take it out, and she said no all night long, because they might need to give me medication because I was bleeding so bad because I bleed like a bitch. And then she took it out finally at like 6 a.m., came back in there literally less than an hour later to poke me to draw blood when she had that in my arm all night. I made a complaint to the hospital. They called me asking, "How was your experience?" And I told her, and there was like other things that this bitch did too, and like completely ignored me as she was like kept waking me up. She was obviously, and I told her I thought it was because of my tattoo as well. And I believe the first OBGYN, he grabbed my IV and, like, shook my hand, and, like, the way he grabbed my hand and shook my hand right after giving birth, that fucker did that on purpose. He also gave me a third-degree episiotomy, sent me home with no stool softeners. I do believe it was because I was a single 19-year-old girl, and, like, people look down at, mothers are so important, children are all of our future, but the way that we handle all of it is, part of what led me to the conclusion that, like, internalized misogyny is a huge problem, and we would all be better off if we just didn't have it. Um, Bill, you're right about Black women being treated different. I also know poor white women who died of cancer because they didn't have money. Right, Bill? That's what they were trying to, like, let me get cervical cancer until I got a nice kind of health insurance from my job. So, yeah, it's like the healthcare is bad across the board, and you see statistics like this, it's just there's no other explaining. Nathan, I'm still with the dad. We've been married for 16 years in January, Nathan. Um, Start an organization that raises money for those crash carts. Joseph, that is a really good idea. I really love that idea, Joseph. Alyssa said, then you got no life because you could be chucking your corn. Bill, there's always going to be this group of people who don't like that group of people. Yes, Bill, that is true. It's just so sad in a melting pot like America, we would treat all women and babies, it's just, oh, hey, Jake, how are you doing? I saw a video that went viral of you're not allowed to put your paws on me. This woman was in active labor. The nurse in the room, she was in triage, and the nurse is asking her like registration questions. Well, this woman is in obvious active labor. Like if you look up Black mom labor and like put last week, you'll find it. It happened in Dallas, Texas. So this nurse is like putting her off, asking her simple questions that they should already know because she was registered to give birth there that day. They were supposed to induce her that day, and they put her off. So she's already like in the system. I can't. They always do that shit. It's like, what's the point of registering if you're gonna ask me the same questions every time I come? Where does my information go? And then every single hospital I've ever been like a part of, they have data breaches. Like all my kids' social security numbers are out there because of hospitals. I just can't stand so much about it. This woman was in active labor, gave birth 12 minutes after this video that is viral is going around. Her mom filmed her in excruciating pain. Well, the nurse is basically not taking her seriously, just in there like tra la la, when she should be helping to get that woman into a bed, into a hospital gown, taking vitals, seeing where the baby's at. Like all that stuff is so much more important. And she did have a birth complication that's pretty common where the baby swallowed its first poo, which is known as meconium, coming out. And so that baby probably had to be on like extra antibiotics and stuff. And his eyes were open. So that's like, but anyways, baby's doing fine now, but it is a perfect example of why the Black maternal mortality rate is 3 times of what the white maternal mortality rate is here in the US, and that's abysmal. It's all abysmal, but, like, it's so obvious that, like, across the board, we spend the most on healthcare, and we have the worst outcomes when it comes to women and children giving birth. It is the closest you will ever be to death. Okay, I shouldn't say that, like, for most women, it is the closest we will ever be to death until we actually die, is giving birth. And the way that it's treated, like, yeah, things are better than it used to be, but things could also be so much better. And the fact that we don't try to improve it more, in my opinion, it's the misogyny. A doctor in California, Dr. LaGrue, he came up with obstetric crash carts. Or like it's a thing before he came up with it. He just put them in every labor and delivery room and improved outcomes in his county greatly. And this is like simple fixes that we could afford. We can afford everything else. And yeah, it's just really sad. And it's something that I feel passionate about. I've talked about the infant and maternal mortality rate before on my channel a lot. I had one guy, and I'm not going to call him out by name, but he was such a sweetheart and a regular. And I remember he disagreed with me. He's like, those numbers are misconstrued. It's not true. They try to make it something that it's not or something. I'm like, I've never heard anybody say that. Like, I wish it wasn't true, but like, I don't know why they wouldn't fudge the numbers to look better if they're gonna like fudge numbers somehow. You know what I mean? And I understand statistics, like How to Lie with Statistics is a book Bill Gates recommends. Isn't that funny? But basically, like I understand like there can be a lot of like different ways to interpret the same statistics, but this is undeniable across the board. We have the worst outcome. Like countries that are like gosh, maybe I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say like second world are better than us practically, but not. Like we have 3 times more black women dying than white women in birth. What that is very statistically significant. That is crazy. And for anybody to deny what it is, I don't wanna call them all racist because I don't know what's in their hearts, but I don't see how you can't see it for what it is. It's racism. People think Black women complain too much and they don't listen to them when they're in pain. They don't listen to all women when we're in pain. Um, well, okay, so acid burn, I have no blocked words. I took everything. It's on like nothing is blocked. I have like restricted mode off. Absolutely everything is off acid burn. Is anybody else having trouble with their comments not showing up? Have you considered remodeling your home? It's a bit outdated. I work in HOA. If you were in my town, I'd have that home condemned. Karen Homeowner Association. That's funny. We are in the process of remodeling, Karen. Alyssa, yep, they ruptured my veins twice, one in each arm when I specifically told them to do my hand. That's so awful. I know some, it's like they're either like saints meant to take care of people or they are freaking sadist demons, right? And like people in healthcare will say that. There's plenty of YouTube channels. It's just like the teaching profession. There's a lot of people that have like, been in it themselves for years and they've come out and said how like it's just awful. Acid burn. Bill, there's always gonna be I did I read this already? Not like a group of people. It's sad that people have to be that way. I like everyone the same, Bill said. Yes, that's what's so great about America. I mean, hey Dory, how are you? Dory, okay, I don't want to see how far up your comment went. So there's a woman who was in active labor, and her mom took a video of her, and she is like, gave birth 12 minutes after this video. And the nurse in the room, they're not taking it seriously enough, basically. The nurse has her back turned to her. She's in triage. Instead of trying to get that woman in labor and delivery in a bed in a hospital gown, she's asking her questions that they already know. She's already in their system. She was due to give birth there that day. She was supposed to be induced that day. The hospital called her and said, we're gonna have to wait. We don't have a bed for you. And then her water broke. So her mom took her in, and this nurse is like, how many kids do you have? Like, do you have insurance? You the kind of registration questions they ask you every single time you go, even if you go on a regular basis. And so this nurse she's been like found, people identified her. And even there's another video from about a year ago where somebody was in a wheelchair. This looked like it was taking place outside of the hospital and they were having seizures. And you can just tell, in my opinion, by the way this woman is acting, you don't even have to hear her talk. Like just her mannerisms in that video that's a year old with the person with the seizures show she is not a caring person. She's one of those people. It's like, why are you in this profession? It's creepy how many people are like so uncaring and can't stand people and get in professions like that. And a lot of it is for the accolades. They want like the respect of having the title. Okay. Thank you, Alyssa. That's a good way to say it. Just the way some hospitals treat women differently than others and make them suffer. Specifically, Black women in the US have 3 times higher, like Black women die 3 times more than their white female peers during birth in our country, Dory. And, it doesn't matter. Like, none of the demographics matter. People wanna say it's, like, a lack of prenatal care, and it's, like, poor people with little resources not taking care of themselves. No, it doesn't matter. Even women with PhDs that are married, that live in nice cities and make a ton of money. It's, like, the same outcome no matter what. So, anyways, I need to tend to my little one now. I am not a nurse, and this is not medical advice, but I am a woman who has given birth 3 times, and the last time was a home birth because the first time 2 times, specifically the middle time. I didn't even tell you I talked about the nurse being a bitch. Well, they gave me Pitocin. I wasn't giving birth fast enough. The doctor wanted to go home for supper, so she had me sign a red consent form. I should have known then, literally red consent form that was upping the dose of Pitocin. My baby came out in one push, bruised from head to toe. They had to put a sign on his bassinet that said, "I'm not losing oxygen. I just came out really fast. I'm bruised from head to toe," which resulted in severe jaundice. They didn't tell us about the jaundice until he was literally in his car seat. Everybody had their shoes on. We were literally signed out, ready to go. And the nurse runs into the room. "His bilirubin level is too high. You have to keep him. He can't leave." And I put my foot down. Even at 22 years old, it was like, "No, we signed out. You released us already. I'm leaving," especially after all the terrible experiences we had had. It ended up us renting lights to keep it home for $600 a day. 22, 24-year-old it was so many things like that. I think about like the medical debt. Like we would own this house outright if we didn't have so much medical debt. You know what I mean? There's been so many times it's like a drop $5,000, $10,000 here and there on like one medical event. And I know we're not the only one. That's part of how they keep us down in this country. And that's why like people I know you can't not go to the hospital when you absolutely have to for an emergency. But I'm interested in seeing how this is going to play out with like the way that the insurance premiums are doubling and tripling and stuff. Like it's how at what point is the whole system gonna collapse in upon itself because, not that many people are gonna be able to participate. I'm sorry, I'm not reading all your comments. I need to go. The stream is less popular than the Pretty Privilege one. Yeah, Elliot, you're right. I was thinking about doing a Pretty Privilege part 2, not just because that got a lot of views. Well, oh yeah, of course, I'm part of that. I'm not ashamed to say I want views. I'm a YouTuber. That's what anybody would want. But I do have more to say about it. And I thought that it was really interesting, the conversations taking place. And during that live, I thought it was so great. This person was like, "Wait, what the fuck? I can't tell what your views are." And I thought that was so funny to me. Yeah, clearly you don't understand how hospitals work and the lack of you asking questions. You stupid that you think that hospitals purposely give bad care. Well, J Frog, we can agree to disagree. When we have the worst outcomes of any first world country on the planet, does that not make you think that some improvement couldn't be done? I mean, I'm sorry. I can't talk to people like you because hospitals make any money. You don't even have proper enough grammar to really discern exactly what you're saying. Kentucky whiskey, they say, even killed the priest. Are not Jake, I'm sorry. I haven't been in the comments that much. I am reading yours right now. God bless you, Nathan. And I went to the hospital, had to sit in the waiting room for an hour while I was shaking with an anxiety attack. Oh, Jake, bless your heart. They only made it worse. I was on medical detainment. I hate the hospital. I was forced to stay there at night. They asked for every information on God's green earth. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear you were in that dark place. You were wanting to unalive. I just needed someone to talk to, and nobody helped. They forced me to take med. What's your tattoo? Um, a hemp plant. I'll show you a picture of it because I actually have a picture of like, you can tell this is right after it was done too. It's like it was too dark when it was done. You know what I mean? And like it looks worse now. But, it's just like a flowering hemp plant. That's on my bag. So, my epidural was like and it was funny, the guys that gave me the epidurals laughed. The 2 anesthesiologists, because I think anesthesiologists aren't gonna, like, think, "Oh my gosh, marijuana. Oh no, reefer madness." And once again, this was 16 years ago. That was my middle son. So, yeah, and it okay, I shouldn't go into that. I don't wanna say that. I was just gonna say something that was too personal. No, Lily, I was thinking about maybe trying to play music. I'm not guaranteeing it, but maybe a late live tonight. It's not a guarantee, but like, Alyssa, half is nurses and doctors. They don't always care as they should. They just like their big paycheck and lost all passion for caring. Yes, I agree with that. It's like the way we're at this late stage capital stage. It's just like there used to be doctors that did it because they wanted to help heal people. And then, they could stay out of the system. They didn't get in so much debt to get their medical degrees. And like it was easier for them to, not charge an arm and a leg. You just don't, you hear so many stories like there used to be a lot more doctors. There's like You could give them 20, $40 and like that. And actually, there are some, like I always say, there it really is cheaper. And of course, you'd say there's less resources. There's a reason why the cost of living is cheaper here in Kentucky. There are still some good schools. Like it's just amazing to me how much people like look down on Kentucky. Like we aren't all flailing. Lost so many jobs to the reefer. That sucks, Rebel. I think that is such a shame. Marijuana is medical here, Barry. Hopefully one day it'll be recreational. I never thought it would be medical. I honestly don't partake. I have vapes. I like the vapes that you can like get at the gas station that are legal. You know what I mean? I like this Dark Horse brand, but like, if I was to smoke the actual thing, I wouldn't feel much besides that. I don't it's like, I have such bad anxiety, I don't know. If you want, you could time me out. What's going on, TWC? No. Legal, medicinal, and recreational, but you still can't get fired for it. It's strange, Rebel. The last few places I worked were THC friendly unless you drove, you were a forklift driver, one of those, you know what I mean? The CBD stuff is being canceled here. Where are you, Taylor, if you don't mind me asking? That really sucks. Acid burn, did you leave? I I know I said I'm so bad about saying I'm gonna leave and I don't. That's like one of my biggest things I need to work on as a YouTuber. And I'm sorry about that. Cause I think, what if somebody wasn't alive and then they left because I said I was gonna leave and then I'm on an hour later? Like that's shitty. And I'm sorry. I'm really trying to be more mindful about that. I am emotional and I really feel like this is like super important. How can you not feel emotional over the fact that women and children aren't being taken care of as good as they could? Oh, wait, I forgot. You don't give a shit about us. It's like, because even if you aren't going to look at the whole picture, like it matters to everyone. Don't we all know somebody that's given birth or is going to give birth or like hope that our kids one day are in that situation where they start a family and we get like it's so stressful. It's like such a crazy time. And then you have to add into it that you can't trust the medical system like at all. And yeah, my third birth, like I told the midwife, nobody listens, even the fucking midwife didn't. The first two births, I was in labor for days. Nobody listened to me because my contractions were like 5 to 8 minutes apart and never got closer for days. And so therefore that means I don't have contractions, even though with my first birth, they literally hooked me up to the machine, left for lunch. And then they come back and there's like so much paper on the floor that had been printed out. And they're like, oh, yeah, nothing's moving along for you. That was a Friday. Come back in on Monday to give birth. And he's like, oh, I see things picked back up for you. I'm like, they never stopped. I was in labor for days. Nobody believed me. It was like breaking faucets at home and stuff, breaking the handles on faucets. I broke a lot of things during that labor. And like, same thing with the second labor. Nobody believed me. My water broke. I wasn't progressing because the same thing was happening. I have weird labors. So I tell the midwife, this is one reason I want a home birth. They don't take me seriously. And then once it picks up, it goes from like 0 to 10 really fast. I have long labors that like end in a bang, and like then the same thing happened with that one. She didn't listen to me either. I called her. I said, I think you should come. I think he's going to come tonight. Oh, no, not until your contractions are closer together. But they always like take off and like you're not going to have enough time because she was like 40 minutes away from me. Sure enough, it happened. It was an unattended home birth, not by choice. Everything went fine. His APGAR was great. It was as high as it can be. Like everything was fine, but I still can't help. But I'm such a worrywart. I still can't help it. Like that wasn't ideal to me, and I wouldn't choose that again. Would choose a natural birth in a hospital if I ever was to give birth, which is literally impossible because I have no uterus. I can't say two words together without it getting blocked. Well, acid burn. Okay, I'm beginning. You can't say SL. What is SL? All your other comments are coming through. You know what I mean? I'm just mad because somehow a bunch of words are being blocked from me. You know what the signs are when you are on the road. They tell you not to go fast. Speed limit. Can somebody else please type speed limit? See, it came up when you put it apart. So I don't know what to tell you. Alyssa, yep, me too. Day slowly, lots of pain, and then like within 15 minutes, it's bam, go time. Really? See, we can't be the only people, like every labor is different too. They say that even the same woman can like labor completely differently. But like I have also heard a lot of times we do have like trends and like they just don't take any of us seriously at all. And it's part of the problem. Well, you're gonna help make it more popular if you keep commenting the same thing, Elliot. Keep doing that. The job market opens and people should go to work if they are able and do more work on themselves. I'm going through a lot right now, run a business and need everyone to step up. One love. Taylor, good luck on your business. And I think a lot of people just feel hopeless. I agree with you. Like ideally you work hard. You should always be working towards goals. But I also don't blame anybody for like it is so hard to get ahead. and you don't have the right guidance in life, I don't blame people who took out a bunch of student loans. Like we were told, you can get a degree. All you have to do is take out student loans. Like nobody guided us well. I shouldn't say nobody. A lot of us didn't get says it's my account. She blocked somehow. Queen, is she still ever come on? No, Queen hasn't shown her face. So it's even more apparent she is the one I suspected. And now I'm getting harassed again by the crazy lunatics because they saw me say sorry about that situation. And they're like, see, we were right, because they were saying that like Mr. Carey and Anna were the same people and that their GoFundMe was a fraud. So therefore, me saying sorry, this person blocked a bunch of people means they're right about that. But it's all worth it to be able to hang out with you guys. Osnet, when was the last time you watched Sissy Corn? Because I have a feeling you were just watching other men that try to be women, fuck men like that. The compound interest on student loans, that is what should be illegal. Bill, that's a very good point. It's just a criminal system enterprise. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being trans, okay? There's nothing wrong with being transgender. I can put myself in their shoes enough to be like, if somebody wants to transition their genders and go through all of that, unless they are just a bad person to me for any reason, I would never hold that against them, you know? But I think it's really interesting every time a person called, and I know it's always a man, right? It's always a man. It's always an incel, it's somebody who hasn't gotten laid for a long time. Every single time somebody brings up the transgender comment, because I don't have a Cindy Lou who knows I brought this up a lot. I talk about it a lot because it's constant. This is why there's no such thing as pretty privilege, guys, okay? And like, yeah, it's like 10 people tell me how pretty I am and how pretty my green eyes are. And then, there's like one comment, but it's human nature for the negative to stand out, right? I mean, you have to have a really thick skin. Me and my husband both have like native Hispanic looking noses, and our children are all freaking gorgeous and beautiful. And this is why women do get so much plastic surgery, is because of the constant negging. And in my opinion, I don't know, I've never been anything but attractive. That was so conceited, but I feel like the more attractive you are, the more people like rag on your looks. And that's not to say that it doesn't happen to all women. And once again, I think all women have beautiful traits. Like the vast majority of women can be beautiful if they take good care of themselves. That's I just look at human beings as like beautiful. They're like dogs. Like even if it's not my cup of tea, I can look at any breed of dog and see beauty in it because it's like a beautiful dog. And I think this was a good analogy when I was talking about flowers. We love the diversity in a garden when there's tons of different flowers. Most of us like the cottage garden feel where there's like bunch of different varieties. And we never say, why is that flower not more like that flower? Like I wish those traits were on that flower. Instead, we just accept them for as they are. And if we could do that with humans, you know what I mean? And then I don't mean, and then like it brings out the worst in me, even though I really don't get affected by it. Like it doesn't hurt my feelings. um the man comments were coming even before like transgenderism was on the rise. Like I remember like 20 years ago, that was like a dig, and it's like kind of like the same type of guy that's like trying to feel it out if you're like going to flirt with him or not. And then a lot of times they're like, well, you're not that pretty anyway. Well, you have no boobs. um you have a big nose. Well, you look like a man. And it's like, even though I've been have a fucking beard. I know I don't look like a man. I will one day grow out my facial hair. Once I get like 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, I am going to like show you guys my facial hair because I know so many women struggle with it, and I couldn't care less what anybody thinks about me but my husband. And honestly, I probably will ask him not to look at it because it is fucking embarrassing for literally that one man. He's the only man on the planet, the only person on the planet. I don't want to see my facial hair in its like full glory. And I think that's a healthy way to be. And we could all be better off if your goal is to have a partner in life, to be so bonded with them and to only care about them in that way. Because we are also oversexed, and like everybody looks at a woman and automatically thinks, like, is she fuckable or not? Even women, even straight women. It's crazy. I don't care who I don't look good for. I sincerely don't, besides my husband. I, yeah, yapping AI. Oh, it's kind of sad to me that people might sincerely think that I might be AI. I just get a lot of those comments. Peter. Peter said, Hello from Sweden. My GF is trans and we are very happy." Good for you, Peter. Happy people in love is what life is all about, right? We're here to love each other. So I'm sorry when I'm not being the best I can be and I'm lashing out at people. But there are some real issues with uh what is going on with the way that people's brains are being rewired because they are creating dopamine rushes to certain stimuli. So when they see a woman, I think this happens a lot with women like me. I don't think I'm a 10 or at all or anything. Like I said, I think I'm like a playing card. The contrast, it's like black and white catches people's eyes. I don't think I'm like so freaking gorgeous. But like where was I going with that? I'm sorry, I just totally lost me. Like, um gosh darn it. My favorite flowers are dandelions, milkweed, cat nine tails, daffodils. Oh, that's cool, Bill. Milkweed is so great for the butterflies. Diversity in a garden, like letting the weeds have equal space in the garden. Nathan, no, weeds take too much. I'm talking about a flower garden. I literally said a flower garden. Follow along, Nathan. Um, it we don't like try if yeah, you hybridize the flower, whatever. I'm not talking about when people literally try to create a new genus or whatever it's called, a new type of fruit or flower, but like you appreciate them for what they are. You don't expect them to change. You don't say, I wish that tiger lily had the same stamens as that day lily did, and then it would be the perfect flower, Like walking up to a woman and automatic, okay, now I'm remembering, give me a second. I'm remembering when somebody automatically sees a woman and they can acknowledge she's attractive, but she's not their cup of tea, right? Especially because of the brain rewiring to certain stimuli to a woman that's had a nose job and everything done that can be done and perfect skin, like literally airbrush. She doesn't even look like that in real life herself. There's this disconnect that happens, and they're like, I can tell you're attractive, but you're not attractive to me. And all women in this world are here to serve me and be attracted to me and make my dick hard. And I'm confused right now. So I don't know how to take this. So I'm going to call you a man. That's what I think some of it is. And it's like really weird. Like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people are lacking intimacy in their own lives, which is sad. Saeed, thank you for subbing. Oh, thank you for saying I have beautiful hair. Didn't think it at first, but you are definitely starting to sound conceited. Good, Nathan. Good, because I want people like you to think that I have a lot of confidence because I do. But I also don't think I'm more special than anybody. I think everybody is special in their own ways. I think we all have things to offer. And especially when you work on yourself and focus on like your strengths and love other people, you will go so far. These are very unromantic times, Rebel is right. I tried to say a sentence and can't even say a sentence. Okay, acid burn. I'm just gonna say it. You're starting to get on my nerves a little bit with this. I don't know what to say to you. I'm not trying to. Maybe you should go get another account. I don't want to make you change an account. Just try it out. Do you have another account you can try out? Um, I like after everything I've been through on my YouTube, I'm starting to think, are you trolling me right now? Like I don't. I literally took. There's no anything on my channel. There was like 4 different things I took off to make it as little moderation as possible. Um, so I'm not trying to be a bitch, but like, you know what I mean? Just I don't know what to do. Once again, to the people that think they're like gonna dox me one day and I don't know what the point of that would be. These guys are always in my feet. Sorry, acid burn. I really wasn't trying to be a bitch, but I'm just saying like I'm starting to think like, are you playing with me? 'Cause I don't know what to do. People are living to stress people out. Yes, Kentucky, Miss Lucky, Taylor said. Dominic said 10 seconds here, and I have enough of women for like a month. See, once again, I would never feel like that about somebody I didn't like. And I'm never going to be everybody's cup of tea, but if I saw a man that I didn't like, I wouldn't be like, oh, I've had enough of all men because I don't like have hate in my heart for all men. I see every single person as a human being. Yeah, I have 2 mastiffs. Okay. Dogs are dying listening to No, actually, if you saw my live last night, my dog almost touched the ceiling jumping, and it was pretty fucking funny for anybody that caught it. I happened to like flip my camera at the exact right time. They're worn out because they have an acre to run on. They're very happy, well taken care of dogs. They're beautiful. If you saw their coats and anything, anybody acid burn. I hope you didn't do that because of what I just said about expecting you to troll acid burn. Thank you. But seriously, I don't want you to keep spending money. Acid burn, that's too much. Now you're gonna make me go. Happy Day. I have a cat out on the couch. Do you guys want to see my cat? Oh shoot. I just showed okay, I need to go. I love you guys. Acid burn, I love you and thank you, and I'm sorry for like, I just have I'm honest, you know what I mean? So I hope if I ever hurt anybody's feelings, you can understand that like I am like so honest and transparent with you guys, and that's one thing you can always expect from me. And like I have severe anxiety. So I am often wrong and it causes this like back and forth in my own head. And yes, and is that playing with you? No. But acid burn, do you understand where I'm coming from? I literally took all controls off. And the only thing I can think is for you to come in on another profile and see if it's happening. Because when it happened the other night, there was tons of people experiencing it. And right now it seems to be you're the only person experiencing it. Um, you have a lot of energy. You need a husband that can what? DL, whatever you were going to say, DL, I would venture to say he can do it. Try reading books. I promise it'll let your brain read. Taylor, yeah, I like books. I actually am not doing a great job at it, but I really want to read these two books. I need to finish this on my channel, and then Jungian psychology is what I have found to be the most helpful when it comes to like interpersonal dynamics. A lot of people like Jungian psychology. They should receive lengthy prison sentences for maintenance fraud. Paul said. He husband can do what? But anyways, and thank you. Laugh at me all you want. Put me in the algorithm more. Keep laughing. Like that just makes my live get promoted more. It's really funny. Like, see, look at it like this. For anybody else that's a content creator that is looking to do it, but they feel like they wouldn't have thick enough skin to do it, whatever. It will help you be more thick skinned in everyday life. Like nothing, like things bother me less overall. And the people used to make you feel like shit, less than, too weird, you're weird, and they don't like you, they try to pull you down like lobsters in a bucket. Now you can make money from them. That's great. That's awesome. I love you guys. Oh, I had my baby naturally, TWC. All my babies came out of the vaginal canal. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a good day. Sorry if I missed comments.